Yo guys, what's up? It's your boy Jesse. I'm not going to do a long intro today just because this is another serious topic that we're going over today. This is something that I was watching on the news. Well, by news, YouTube and Twitter. I don't really watch mainstream news anymore, but this is something that I've watched happen, and it's a bunch of things that are piling up. And I can understand why people are starting to get worried about this. So, China has dropped an H-bomb. H-bombs are huge. They make really big explosions. They're playing this little game where they're trying to intimidate the Philippines, Taiwan, and the USA. And because they want Taiwan and they want the Philippine Sea. This is why I'm going to say things are just piling up. As many of you know, Google wasn't having it. Finally, Google has named the sea the West Philippine Sea, not the China Sea or whatever it was that the Chinese say that it is, signifying that Google is moving more toward the Philippines' claim that it is their sea and not the Chinese claim that it belongs to them. China is obviously not happy. I don't know why China thinks that they own the world, but they think that. I don't know why. They think they own all of Asia, the way they act. And then of course all this stacked on with Trump putting some huge amount of tariffs on China and sending troops here to the Philippines to train with Filipino troops, which by the way, I've heard Filipino troops are tough as hell. I had a sergeant in the army told me when he was in the Marines, he worked with some Filipino troops and some Thai from Thailand troops, and he said that both of the troops in the Philippines and in Thailand were tough people. So I just want to throw that out there. I've heard that y'all's troops here in the Philippines are pretty tough. They know what they're doing. Anyhow, this comes after the U.S. sent these troops over here, and I've been keeping up with these two guys that I watch. I've been watching them on YouTube since like 2018. They have a show called the China Show, but I started watching them again, and they're both white. I think one's from America and one's from South Africa, and they live in China. One of the things they used to do is they used to travel with drones on their motorcycle and show the land of China and talk a little bit. They'd have their voice in the background, which is kind of the inspiration of some of the stuff that I've done because I watch their videos. They'd have their voice in the background talking about the news that was going on in China, or things like that. And this with the government, CCP, and President Xi and all that great stuff. I remember even messaging one of the guys because I was going to move to China because I heard some bad things about how how their president had made himself president for life, basically, that kind of stuff. Well, I've been watching them. I've been watching a few other videos, and despite what some of these influencers are doing on TikTok and on YouTube and on X, it's well documented that the Chinese government pays them to make things look good. The Chinese government is paying them to do propaganda, to make it look like they're just doing great, that the tariffs are hurting America, that they're this big strong force and all this other stuff. But they were talking about how government in China is kind of crumbling. People are losing their jobs because of the tariffs. Factories are shutting down. There are some people that are working and not getting paid. They haven't been paid for months. And it's just a really bad situation for the people in China, to the point that there are starting to be protests against the Chinese government there. And the Chinese government, the Chinese president, has freaked out and took an emergency flight out of his country to try to talk to other countries in Asia to bring them to the table. The other countries in Asia, most of them, as far as I know, said no, we're just going to deal with the US and not you. I'm really glad that that happened, because it shows China that they can't be a bully to other countries like that and expect those countries to come to them when they need help. What President Xi didn't understand is that America got tired of some of the things that were happening, and they voted in President Trump for a second term because President Trump said he would do certain things, like get rid of illegal immigrants, ran on the promise that he would do the tariffs, he would declassify information and make the government more transparent, he would cut funding for some of the crap that the government's paying for. He's been doing that, and he's been doing a relatively good job at that. The tariffs, Trump kind of played a interesting game, at least I think. With the tariffs, he slapped tariffs on every country. And he did it, I think, he did it to see who would come to the table and talk. And every country came to the table, except for China. I don't remember if Canada did. I don't remember exactly. But what happened is China thought that those countries would retaliate against Trump. Well, Trump got rid of the tariffs, brought them all down to just 10% for every country except for China. China's the only country they didn't bring down. And he actually ended up raising it. Now it's like 200 and something percent. It's pretty high. China thought other countries were going to retaliate, and other countries didn't. Other countries said, yeah, let's make a deal. Let's talk. Let's not have this foolish trade war or tariffs. China expected more countries to do what they're going to do. And now China's isolated. China doesn't have anyone on their side right now. Nobody wants to work with China over USA. As much as China might hate to admit it, USA does have a bigger economy. We have more innovation than them. They steal IPs, they steal ideas from other countries and make it their own and sell it for cheaper prices. Who wants to work with people like that? Not to mention they're full-blown communist, and communism is just a failed ideology. And before anybody comes on here saying, well, that's not real communism, well, every time communism has been tried, it's failed. And if you're saying that every time it's been tried, it's not real communism, then you're just an arrogant little prick who thinks that your version of communism will work. And even if your version, out of all the versions that have ever been tested and tried that haven't worked, even if yours does somehow miraculously work, the next person who gets in the office isn't guaranteed to keep that up, and they'll use their version of communism. This is exactly what happened with Lenin and Stalin. Look how that worked out. As you can tell, I do not like communism. That's kind of what's happening. China and the rest of the world's starting to see it. The rest of the world, China can't hide it. They might can hide stuff from their own people with their great firewall and all that stuff to block other websites because they don't want their people seeing what's actually happening out in the world. They may be able to do that to their own people, but they can't do it to everybody else. They don't have that power. And their president, Winnie the Pooh, President Xi, he's a nobody. He's going to be a nobody. People are rising up. People are tired of it. I haven't watched the video yet, but I saw a video right before I came out here that I will be watching that said that there are some in the CCP who are now starting to go against their own president, the leader of the CCP, the leader of the Chinese Communist Party. They're now starting to go against him, President Xi. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's clickbait, but I'm definitely going to watch it and find out. So I'll just say to my friends on here, my American friends and my Filipino friends, don't worry too much. China, yeah, they're a big country. They're a tough country. They got a lot of people. Their military is huge. But China, as we saw with the tariff situation, China does not have a lot of friends. And China doesn't have a lot of friends because they steal ideas, they steal jobs, they sell all the stuff for cheaper prices, and they cheat people, they cheat countries out of trade deals. Nobody wants to work with them because of that. They're liars and they're thieves. Nobody wants to work with them. if they do something stupid and start a war, it would be a tough battle, but I can almost guarantee you China, or USA, Philippines, South Korea, Japan, maybe even, definitely Taiwan, probably Thailand, I don't know. I don't know about Thailand. Vietnam, because I don't think Vietnam's that close to China anymore, although I may be wrong. And of course then a whole host of other countries in Europe that don't want communism to spread to their country. China's not going to, if they try something that stupid, well, they're going to fuck around and find out. I don't think they will, but I think the combined forces of all the countries that would not put up with it should keep China away. We'll keep calling President Xi's bluff. I will keep watching videos to see what's going on. And I'm sorry guys if I don't sound normal today. I don't feel very good. I'm gonna head in now. There's a lot of mosquitoes out right now, so I'm gonna head in and probably take a break before I do some video edits. Don't forget to leave a comment down below on your thoughts on what's going on. Let me know what you think, if we should be worried about China or anything like that. Just let me know what you think. Hit that like and subscribe button, guys. Know that you are valuable and you matter. God bless. Peace.